Troy is a fabulous fabric from the land of the five rivers.
Beatsmith music.
We live. What's going on, Raider Nation, man? Welcome to this channel. Welcome to the PharoahNFL channel, man. We got a lot to talk about today. It's the show right before the game. It's gonna be a casual show, but we're gonna talk about the latest and greatest with the Raiders. A lot of latest, not a lot of greatest, but we'll talk about it today. But I appreciate everybody pulling up. I see y'all in the chat. Let me see who's in here real quick. James Furbo says Raider Nation for life, man. Facts. Matrix Raider says Raiders. All right, he is in the building. Fade to Black was good, Pharaoh, man. Appreciate you coming through. Matrix, yeah, I see you. SVT's in the building. Salute Nation. All right. Darth Raider Prime, man. Appreciate you coming through, man. But yeah, man, like I said, we have a lot to talk about. But let me not just hold my co-host in the backstage too long. What's good, Raider Ray, man? What's up, man? How you doing?
Yo, what's good, guys?
Man, we chilling, man. We trying to talk some football. I mean, it's been a long week where, the Raiders are 2-7. We got a game tomorrow against the Broncos. To be honest with you, both teams kind of are dealing with injuries. Mostly the Broncos, though. I think the Broncos have been, you can get on the coaching as much as you want with the Broncos, but they lost like a tackle with receivers.
They trade Chubb,
starting running back. You know what I mean? And yeah, they traded Chubb. But they're still number one defense in the league. I don't know if that means
the record doesn't bear any. It doesn't help that their offense is horrible.
Yeah. But we're. Do you feel like this is a game? I don't even want to say. Do you feel like this is a winnable game? But do you feel like this is a game where the Raiders can get back on track? I mean, obviously, this is one of the teams that they've got their wins against. But at the end of the day, like. Lately, nothing's come easy for the Raiders for whatever reason.
Yeah, I think that this is a game that the Raiders could go in there and get another win in the win column. I could see them sweeping the Broncos this year. I really could. Just based off the ability to run the football, I think Derek Carr's historically had a really good career against the Denver Broncos. The tail of the tape in the first is the ability to run the ball on first and second down to make those third and manageable type of situations, and I think that's crucial for this Raiders offense. You could make the argument that at times when they haven't been able to execute on their first and second down effectively and put this offense back in third and long distances, it changes the whole dynamic of the offense, and that's where we tend to see a lot of our struggles.
Yeah, and I'm hearing a little bit of feedback. Hold on 1 second. Let me come from my side. Yeah.
You got YouTube going?
Yeah, I think I might have YouTube. I don't know. You hear it? You hear anything?
I'm good.
Yeah, man. And let's actually get into a lot of what's been going on this week, especially after the game. A lot of people have kind of been blaming coaching, especially me, and I still do. I still kind of point the finger at McDaniels at the end of the day. And I dropped a video this week, and I know you feel the same way as well, Ray. But that being said, the players have come out strong supporting this coaching staff. From Derek Carr, from Devontae Adams, leaders in the locker room, they're coming out and they're putting it on the players. They're saying it's more of a lack of execution. But when you hear that though, how do you take that? What do you take from that? Because the players are going to always talk. They're going to say a lot in the press conference. You just got to read in between the lines.
Yeah, you know what? Coming off these last few weeks, pretty hard on the coaching staff. I think if it really was the players have had every opportunity to come out and say, "Hey, look, Josh McDaniels or this coaching," or like you just said, they can kind of read in between the lines. And when they're asked about the coaching staff, they tend to be pretty positive, and they always redirect it back to the players. I think that you know what it seems like now that I'm kind of hearing the locker room talk about it more, it seems like this is a player's locker room, and I think that they put a lot of responsibility on themselves to go out there and execute. Now, you could also point, look, this goes hand in hand. It is coaching staff and players, but you could tell that the players are taking more of the responsibility for themselves.
But that's how you want it. That's in life. That's how you want to move. You know what I mean? You want to accountability is huge, just on a personal level. So I would assume the players feel that. But at the end of the day, though, I think it still falls on the coaching staff. At the end of the day, the coaching staff is the one that prepares the players. I mean, they're the ones who put together this team. They're the ones who thought the O-line they can out-coach or out-scheme.
Got even knowing that news, by the way.
Go ahead. Drop it.
Colton Miller is not expected to play tomorrow.
Ooh, that's
shout out to Auntie Six.
That's tough. That's tough. Auntie Six, hold up. Check your IG. Okay.
That's big.
So who do you see?
See, bro, like it's like, oh, are we trying to lose?
Yeah, and the thing is McDaniels is getting the pass. He's gonna get the pass based off. Oh, look, Darren Waller missed games. Renfro missed games. It's defense. But
to be fair though, the linebacker situation for him. Look, this is me playing little devil's advocate.
Yeah,
the linebackers for him have been atrocious. Divine Diablo's hurt. You get Blake Martinez retires. You had to go out and get Blake Martinez because how beat up the linebacker core is. Jayon Brown can't cover his nose when he's got to sneeze. Like the defensive back situation, Nate Hobbs goes down, your best cover corner. You trade away Jonathan Abram.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're relying on Anthony Averett, Sam Webb, Amik Robertson. Like Chandler Jones hasn't worked out. Like all these things on the defensive side of the football. So they have a lot of built-in excuses if that's the route that they want to go.
Man, this is going to be tough. On the road against Denver, fans is going to be going crazy. I know their offense is terrible, but let's keep it real. Like Russell Wilson looked like Russell Wilson against the Raiders last time they played. Like he was making plays against this defense. But we'll see, man. Like we'll see how it plays out tomorrow. But that's a big injury to the Raiders. You could say Raiders' best O-lineman is Colton Miller, just based off his consistency as a player. You know what I mean? I would say Colton Miller is their best offensive lineman for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. And that's who's his replacement. How does O-line shuffle?
Hey, it's probably going to be Jermaine Illuminor, to be honest with you.
You know what I mean? Whoever has that experience playing on that left side.
He was the only one that was, if you remember all the way back into the preseason, he was really predominantly that guy that was rotating on the left and right side.
Man, that's crazy.
And then that means Thayer Mumford's going to be getting the start. And you hope that nothing happens to one of those two guys, because once that happens, you're looking at a Jackson Barton. And I don't think any of us are looking for that.
Well, the good thing is that even though, obviously Cole Miller's going out, that's if that report is true and he doesn't play tomorrow, the Raiders, not the Raiders, but the Broncos are without Randy Gregory. Bradley Chubb is not there. So that D line, I know they got some pieces in the interior D line, but on the outside, do you see anybody being
let's just keep it completely honest. Like these are, as crazy as it seems, because it seems like not too long ago we just played them. These are two different teams than the first time around, completely. None of the seasons are going anywhere where they wanted to go. The teams have been dealing with injuries. Guys are down. The team's beat up. You've got a lot of rumors and a lot of controversy going around at the head coaching position, from leadership to the top to the bottom. Mm-hmm. Both head coaches are being scrutinized. This is going to be one of those games, man. I just don't be surprised if the Raiders go out there and get beat.
What did you say? What did you say the last show? You said that it's basically the 31st ranked coach versus the 32nd ranked coach.
Yep. We got a beautiful matchup, 31 and 32, baby.
Damn, that's disgusting. But that being said, this seems like a game that they could take it. I think the Raiders can take this game.
For sure.
They can take this game, but it's just like, oh my God, Cole Miller getting hurt changes everything.
That's big, dude. Pass protection's everything. But granted, Colton's kind of been struggling too. He could be injured. He could have been injured, and that's why he's dealing with a lot of kind of setbacks. But it looks like those power rushers, he's having a really hard time competing with those power rushers.
Paul John, appreciate you coming through. He says he's a 50-year Chargers fan here, man. Appreciate you coming through, man. A fan of the Chargers for 50 years, man. That sucks, man. That's pretty tough. But that is commitment, though. Though growing up hating the Raiders, okay, he's being honest. I'm really surprised the Raiders season has been so dismal. Really thought the West would be a bloodbath. Facts. You can speak to the AFC West in general. Everybody thought it was going to be an old school AFC shootout with all like Denver being a threat coming out the West. The Raiders, obviously, we had expectations. The only team that really, pretty much lived up to their hype was the Chiefs.
Yeah, to me personally, it's the Chiefs and then everybody else.
Yeah.
Because the Chargers are still beat up. They're injured. You know what I mean? They've lost a lot of their players as well. So,
but for the Chargers, you can actually point to their team and be like, it was due to injuries. Maybe you can argue their coaching, but they're still 5-4. They're still competitive. They're still in it. I mean, I think the Chargers play the Chiefs this week too.
You lose Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Joey Bosa, J.C. Jackson. Bro, they lost a lot. They lost Rashawn Slater, I believe, that they lost?
Yeah, Rashawn Slater out for the season. I think Jackson is out for the season as well.
Yep,
Joey Bosa, I believe he has a chance to come back at some point in the season, but they don't know when. You know what I mean? So, like, they've dealt with injuries. And football, that's the one thing I hate about football is the injuries. Because at the end of the day, I want to see the best of the best play. I don't want to see injuries at all, but that's just the game. Like, part of winning and making a run to at least in the playoffs, Super Bowl, is a little bit of luck too. You got to be healthy.
Oh, for sure. The ball has to roll your way. You got those one possession games. Everything tends to go right on those last final drives. There's a lot of luck in football.
Facts. Dodgers, everything says we're both trash. Ray, he's being honest right now. Yeah, it's a tough season, man. It's definitely a tough season. Cole Miller, do you think it's going back to this comment, right? Auntie Six says tank is in full effect. Do you think it's a tank job?
Dude, I think, yeah.
Do you think they knew about this going into the season?
No.
Let's talk about it.
I don't think that they knew about it. I think, honestly, they went out and made the moves that they made, hoping, kind of putting all the chips in the middle of the table and taking a big gamble. And I think it was a huge swing and a miss, and now you're dealing with the consequences of that. So I think that they had all the best intentions. However, when things started to go south pretty early, when the Raiders were 0-3, and then maybe I think we were 1-3, and then we lost a few more, then picked up our second win. But ever since that losing streak started, I think you had to take a look in the mirror and be like, all right, look, like, we're not the team that we thought we were. So moving forward, I do think that those conversations, so to say, behind the scenes with Mark Davis, Dave Ziegler, Josh McDaniels, I believe Mark Davis was in on it the entire time. I think they were sold, hey, we're not going to be where we need to be this year. Let's kind of set our eyes and focus on next year, and let's see which of the guys we're going to be keeping around moving forward.
You know what? I do think that I do think that they try to make an attempt to win this season, because you know what I feel like when Mark Davis interviewed Dave Z, when he interviewed McDaniels, they laid out a plan to him, and they let it like, hey, we can come in here and we can easily blow it up because we need to get our players in. We need to get this moving in the right direction. Probably Mark Davis is like, nah, you know what? I want to move with the players that are on this roster. So that's why they made an attempt to actually win with this roster. But you can see, how that hasn't worked. And, in my opinion, I feel like Mike, not Mike McDaniels, but McDaniels doesn't have a good, strong hold of that locker room. The players might say, no, it's not the coaching staff, but I just don't believe in McDaniels, man. Like, I really don't. But as much as the players try to cover it up by saying, no, it's on us, it's execution and da-da-da-da-da, but I never really heard this under Gruden. And we could talk as much stuff about Gruden, and he doesn't come without his faults. What I'm saying is that at the end of the day, like, McDaniels still hasn't proven anything to me in my eyes.
No, and Raiders beat. I mean, and you guys, this isn't me saying this. I'm just reiterating what an article says 22 hours ago when it was dropped. And I don't know the author, the publisher of Raiders Beat. Maybe you guys can drop that down in the comment section below. That way I know how credible it is. But it says, hey, look, analyst says don't rule out John Gruden if the Raiders fire McDaniels.
Yeah, I don't see that.
I don't see that. I don't see it.
I think the NFL is really were trying to get rid of. They're trying to get rid of him.
If he wins that lawsuit against the NFL and it comes down to not financial, but he says, look, I just want an opportunity to coach, because now that case has moved forward, like, bro, it could get really ugly really quick. And now John Gruden might be the A side in this court battle.
Or if they settle and they make a deal behind closed doors and be like, hey, none of these leaks come out. Let's stop.
We'll let you coach, but none of this. And I bet he's like, no more emails, no more scandals.
Wow, that would be crazy. But I wouldn't. You know what? I just feel like they need to move on. They just need to move on. It's at this point, it's just too much time has passed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just at the end of the day, like let's get a young coach in there. Let's get like a rookie head coach. You know what I mean? I know I dropped a video about first-year head coaches not really having a high success rate, but that same study actually separated first-year head coaches from that had stints prior to their first year coaching the team, and also a rookie head coach. And the rookie head coaches surprisingly had a high win rate.
Higher. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Higher than the first year.
Exactly. And we can look around the league, and it kind of backs it up a little bit. When you look at Brian Daboll, when you look at a Mike McDaniels right now, that's killing it over there with Miami.
Yep.
First year head coach comes to the team. You know what I mean? Like he had to bring in. He made a big trade, just like we made a big trade for Devontae Adams. He made a big trade for Tyreek Hill. Added some talent to that team to what they already had, and they're winning.
Went and got a pass rusher, just like we went and got a pass rusher.
Boom.
Who made the better move?
Man, Miami, man. At this
Miami's
point,
out here making moves. But hey, do you buy into the entire narrative that the Raiders don't have the funds to actually fire Josh McDaniels? That Mark Davis is kind of put in a corner, so to speak, to keep Josh McDaniels because of the amount of cash he's put out?
Say that again. Say that last word.
For the amount of cash that Mark Davis has put out between head coaches, between John Gruden. So I was doing a little bit of dabbling when it came to numbers, and as offensive coordinator for the Patriots, Josh McDaniels was making $4 million a season. Now, if he was making $4 million a season as an offensive coordinator for the Patriots, I can only imagine he's probably upwards in the 10 million range for the Raiders.
Probably, yeah.
I think he honestly, dude. I think he's
about eight, probably eight, 9, maybe. But
dude, let's put it this way: if Gruden, who was sitting in the ESPN desk, was making $10 million a season, Josh McDaniels getting his second head coach stint, and the fact that the contract details haven't leaked tells me that the guy's making good money.
No, he's definitely making good money, but the fact is that their contracts are guaranteed. So, and the chat, y'all can speak, the nation, y'all can speak to this as well. And there was a report coming out this week about, Mark Davis not having a lot of money. To be pretty much, he didn't have enough money to fire a head coach and get another contract with another head coach. So that's why Josh McDaniels is getting a second year. I mean, how do you feel about that report? You buy that report? Because, obviously Mark Davis, he's in Vegas, brand new team, brand new stadium.
I don't think he's as broke as what people make it out to be.
Exactly.
I don't think he is, bro.
Exactly.
The fact that the revenue, the value of the team alone since moving to Vegas has skyrocketed, and I know that there's going to be time pushback before all the assets start kicking in and all that money on the back end of this whole transition and whole move. He probably won't see majority of that money till a little bit down the road, once that stadium is paid off and that new facility is paid off. So there's going to be some time before he starts making a ton of money. But dude, he's not broke by any stretch of the matter. I think if you wanted to move on from Josh McDaniels, you can move on from Josh McDaniels and give a young guy an opportunity and not pay him that much.
I will say this though, I think that it is on his mind though. He's just like, I just gave him a contract. I just vouched for him. I just said that, he was going to do X, Y, and Z before the season. It's not a reload. It's not a rebuild. All of the aboves. He put his reputation on the line. Owners do that all the time. But I'm just saying, he did that. So I think he's willing to wait one more year with Josh. But do I think that he might need to fire him if this season keeps going down south?
Look,
I think he should.
They put the chips in the middle of the table this offseason, right? And if you keep Josh McDaniels after this year and say we lose all these games, bro, you're not only did you push the pile into the center of the table, you grabbed everything else from the side of you and you're pushing that in the table as well, because this can go south really quickly. Like if Josh McDaniels misses on a quarterback in the first round or whatever the case may be, say he takes a defensive player and they completely miss on him in the first round and they get a lackluster quarterback in the second and that guy never develops and move on from Derek Carr, you can honestly set this organization back 4 to 5 years if you don't do this properly.
Yeah. And that's my thing. Cut your losses. If you know that it's not there,
it's one season.
It's one season, but at the same time, if you know that he's lost the locker room, if you know that the players are not responding to him, you see the effort level on the field on Sundays. If you know that, then like, what are you trying to see when you bring him back a second season with another group of players? Like, they're still NFL players. You still gotta prepare them to win, and if you're not able to do that, I mean, maybe he's a great coordinator. I think he's a great coordinator. Great coordinator.
Is he though?
He's proven it. That's what he's proven.
In one place. That's the only thing.
Ooh.
In one place.
True. That's true.
He went to Denver. It wasn't good. He had his stint. Where was that? You told me he had his stint at for one season. Where was that?
That's true. Literally after what happened in Denver. After what happened in Denver, which he's going back there for the first time since then. He went to the Rams for 1 year, and he had a terrible year. That like the offensive ranks were terrible. Passing, running the football, like they were terrible. Then obviously he goes back to New England. The rest is history. He gets back to his, But
only New England. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I feel like we're getting the Matt Patricia effect. That's what I feel like we're getting out in Las Vegas.
Yeah, that's true, man. You got to look at it, man. Like, there's not a lot of Patriot head coaches or coaches that have been successful. Like,
man, because he and eventually it came out like how arrogant and how selfish that Matt Patricia was over there in Detroit, and he had the whole locker room turn on him. And he was preaching how they're going to turn the organization around. They're going to do it a different way. It just sounds like the same thing going on in Las Vegas. But hey, look, let me give it the benefit of the doubt. If the players have every opportunity to come out and say, hey, look, this is the coaching staff. Like, we don't agree with the things going on, because there's a lot of attention on them. And if they wanted to, they could divert it back to the coaches and hoping that they have some job security. But these players are taking the accountability for themselves, which I've seen it multiple times in the NFL that players, if they have an opportunity to say, hey, look, this is not on the players that are on the field. There's issues going on in that locker room, and there's issues going on with the coaching staff, and we're not about it. The players like to have a power in organization to a certain extent, right? I do think that if it was strictly coaching staff and Josh McDaniels was not getting involved with the locker room, I think we would have heard a lot more by now. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. However, do I think he's the guy? No, I don't.
I don't think so far. But, like at the end of the day, like we're fans of the team just like everybody else. So if Mark Davis chooses for him to stay as head coach, then we're going to wait and see how that works out. Hopefully it works out. I want to be wrong, to be honest with you.
No, me too. And to be honest with you, if it's the players that have lost, if it's the players not buying in and players are keeping other players accountable, dude, that's the best case scenario. Like, if these guys really do love Josh McDaniels, like the Harvester Sports podcast, Derek Carr says Raider Nation should be excited to have Josh McDaniels in the building. Like, if that statement is true and that he said, no, we really love Josh. If that statement is true, that is the best thing that could happen right now.
Yeah.
Like, if it's a bad season, but the guys do like Josh McDaniels, that's the best thing the Raiders have going for them.
Facts.
If not, and this is all just smoke and mirrors and keep pushing it back, there's going to be a lot of issues going on out in Las Vegas.
Facts 100%. 1, 2, 3, Max, man. Big shout out, guys, from Scotland. Man,
shout out to Scotland.
Salute. Shout out to Scotland, man. I appreciate you watching. He said, I love the podcast. Keep up the great. I appreciate that, man. All the way from Scotland, man. That's crazy, awesome. Man. We appreciate that a lot. And this is another familiar face in the building. Salute, Pharaoh. Salute, Ray. Appreciate you, D Menace, man. Always showing love, always supporting. Dodgers Everything says, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. McDaniels and Mark Davis demolished the team. Ooh. Man, that's the a lot of people, I brought up this point too as well, the fact that they played a lot of close games last year. And I know if you play a lot of close games, it's going to come back to haunt you at the end of the day. It's going to go the other way. But the fact that the Raiders are 0-6, they're 0-6. That's a big stat. They haven't won one game. Every time it's close, they haven't really been able to finish. And on top of that, what made last year, because it almost kind of like, I hear a lot of people trying to take credit from that team that went to the playoffs last year. And I don't like that. At the end of the day, like, that was a mentally tough team.
With the good leadership. They were 5-2 in one-score games under Rich Bisaccia and Greg Olson.
You got to give a lot of credit. That was a special season from that Raiders team. I know they weren't the most talented, but hey, you got to give credit where credit is deserving. And in this situation,
that might have been a 1-in-10 situation, right? Like, if that happened in 10 scenarios over and over again, maybe the Raiders only make the playoffs to one of it. But you got to give it credit that the team rallied. It's just that team had a lot more fight than what this team has currently. And this team has so much more roster, and there's one of two things, bro. Like, either the players aren't bought in, and that's a true statement, or the locker room is lost, and now you're trying to salvage something that's not fixable. Because once you lose a locker room, unless there's just significant turnover at crucial key positions, good luck getting a locker room to buy back into you.
Debo says, we're wasting DA. We'll probably trade him as well. Get ready for a horrible 7 years. Man, I hope not, man. I hope you're wrong, but you bring up a good point about Devontae Adams. Like,
what if they traded Waller, Renfro, got rid of DC? I mean, just hit the blow-up button on offense.
Well, I'll say this, though. Devontae Adams has been really outspoken in support of this coaching staff. Like, he really believes in this coaching staff. He believes, I think, in Devontae Adams. Obviously Derek Carr is going to say all the right things. So he's going to come out and say that he supports, Josh McDaniels as well. But it's going to be interesting, especially if the Raiders, there's 8 games left, including tomorrow. And if they continue to lose, a guy that's not used to losing, and this upcoming offseason is going to be real telling on where the Raiders are going to be headed next season. Like, are they going to be trying to reload and try to win next season? Or are they going to be trying to rebuild or reload? It takes time, like McDaniels tried to say the other day. It takes time.
Do you think Aaron Rodgers is out of Green Bay?
Out? He's out in Green Bay?
Yeah. Do you think he would want out?
I think. Oh, that's a very good question, because I know what you're trying to do here. You're trying to connect the dots. Maybe comes to Las Vegas. I think Tom Brady has a closer chance to come to Las Vegas than
I do too. I was just curious. I didn't know, because look, he's in a bad situation over there with Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. I don't know if you hold on to DC. I don't know. I don't want to really get into that. I don't want to. That's we're gonna let that play out. But man, there's so many ways that this offseason could go. There's so many ways that you could retool this roster and reconstruct it. And now that we're in this situation, I don't know Josh McDaniels' approach. I don't know the direction what he sees this franchise. Maybe he sees Derek Carr a part of it. You know what I mean? Maybe he sees DC a part of the future and continuing to develop a chemistry with him. I don't know, but it's going to be really, really interesting offseason. What does your gut tell you that Josh McDaniels is going to do
this offseason?
Ray saying if Josh and Ziegler turn into Gruden, watch out. Yeah, let's hope that don't happen.
Yeah, DeMarcus Red says Ray saying if Josh and Ziegler turn into Gruden and Mayock, watch out. I don't think so. That's not going to happen. I think Gruden and Mayock it was an odd couple. I think Gruden just wanted a placeholder.
I like Ziegler a lot.
Yeah, I do like Ziegler, but we got to hold him accountable because he did bring in.
Yeah, those contracts were, but also I don't want to be the guy of excuses, but I'm always going to play, hindsight here. They did come into an offseason technically on a short schedule for the NFL when it comes to preparing for free agency. Okay, so they have familiarity with a guy like Chandler. Chandler is known around the league, very respected. I don't think you're necessarily just buying production. You're buying a leader along the defensive line.
Mhm.
You're getting a guy who is solid in run defense, but that was a whiff. We're not going to make any excuses about that. However, their scouts for the limited time that their scouts had, and they've come out and said that, that it was difficult getting ready for the draft. Like, it's almost a blessing that they had a pick in the 3rd round because it gave them more time to study. But at the same time, man, I mean, they came into a late free agent market. So I see Dave Ziegler and all of his scouts, dude, they are out putting in work. Like, if you keep it up to date on college scouts, the Raiders scouts are in the building of all your major colleges. Like, it's constantly being reported. And Dave Ziegler is one of those guys who's out there on the road as well. He's not just sitting in the office. Like, Dave Ziegler is out there preparing for this next offseason.
Paul John says, I was always curious, how would you get the team focused while being in Sin City? And that's when you have a good organization, it's not going to be a problem.
Yep.
When you have a good organization from top to bottom, where they hold everybody in that building accountable, you know what I mean? Like, that's how you do it.
Do you think in a situation being in Vegas that the organization almost has to monitor social media because of the issues with the Henry Ruggs? Because there's been a player that's caused a death in the city, and you've been in the city for 2 years, right? You've got a Damon Arnett that had a gun issue, posting guns all over the social media. Like, maybe this whole thing is actually something that the Raiders organization is moving forward in protecting social media because how bad it's been affecting this team.
I don't like it. No, I'll be honest with you. I don't like it. I'm not a believer in micromanaging. If you got to micromanage, then you got the wrong player in there. If you have to view, at the end of the day, like, they should come in with the understanding. You got to get the right people in the building, and at the same time, you got to get the right coaching staff. You got to get the right players. That's all it is. Over here, micromanaging players, I don't think that's not going to solve anything. That's all that's going to do is it's going to create resentment, in my opinion. And hey, look, man, we're watching the team this year, and it just seems weird. It's off. But when you watch a game, right, it don't seem like you see a few players that is excited to play football, but then you see a lot of the players on the team, they're kind of out of it. I don't know. It's just a weird team. Last year, we saw a team that really it's almost seemed like they loved playing with each other last year. And I know last year was last year, this year was this year, but hey, man, at the end of the day, like, we got to look at that. We got to figure out, like, what's wrong with this team. And I think it all comes down to the people who are coaching.
Click on Javier's comment. I think that's kind of a good point. I want to kind of talk about that. I think Josh has a clause to exit on his terms, so he might jump ship to the Patriots. He missed the Colts, so don't count out next year if he has a bad start. Do you think his ego or pride? Do you think he has too much pride and ego to just bounce back out to New England?
Nah, I think he wants to be a head coach.
Yeah,
I think he wants to be a head coach, and I think that the Raiders situation is a great situation for coaches coming in because you have the best resources. You know what I mean? You had obviously the greatest head coach, arguably, in Bill Belichick, come and visit the facilities and be like, these are the best facilities in football he's ever been. Like, he's never been in any type of facility. A guy like Bill Belichick that's been around football for a long time and won is saying, like, he came to, like, that literally in itself is going to want coaches to come here and want to coach for this team at the end of the day. And Mark Davis is hands off. For the most part, he's hands off. I know he likes to do a little pep talk after games with I don't know what he talk. What do you think he talks about with?
I don't think it, like, when, dude, the media blows stuff up so much. When they say, like, Mark Davis is having a closed door conversation with Josh McDaniels, dude, I think it's more of like, hey, just be positive, go in there, know that I got your back, you're safe, like, your job is safe. Don't worry about it. Just go and answer the questions you have to answer. And I think that's about it, bro. I don't think the reason why I think that, Pharaoh, is because I don't get a sense of urgency out of Josh McDaniels. I get a guy who is way too calm on the podium. He knows his job isn't threatened. He knows he's playing safe ball right now. So he knows, like, hey, I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. So
that's a good point.
The media, the narrative can spin the stories all they want. He's like, I ain't going nowhere.
That's true. And I made that point the other day. Like, not just Josh McDaniels, Mark Davis is really calm. You know, obviously McDaniels, even Dave Z, they're a little too calm. It's so calm that you might have to think that, hey, you know, this is all part of the plan. We knew that, hey, if this was not going to work out, then we're going to have to go to plan B. And plan B might be losing some games, maybe getting a lot, you know, top 10 picks. Man, the way it's looking, it's probably they're trying to shoot for that top 5. I mean, you got Colt Miller. Like, what happened to Cole? I know he was on the
top
injury
5.
report.
I'm shooting for top 2, boy. I'm getting my guy.
Yeah, and we'll get into. You want to? I don't know if you got some people that you want to talk about in the draft. I mean, it's still early, but especially with 8 games left, we're talking about the draft. That's
I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't.
If you come out with a draft video next week, that's sad.
No, I'm not.
I'm sad. I'm gonna wait to after season. I got a little more respect than that, man. We're gonna talk about what's going on the field, but James, he's back. He says, Ray, hey man, that's his favorite, man. That's his favorite word to say, man.
He's always done it, man. James is loyal to it.
Yep. Just another DJ. Carr is known to show significant improvement year 2 under a new system. Why not keep all the weapons with Carr? Hey, and I think that's actually a good scenario that might happen. There's a good chance for that to happen, because if you look at his contract, and I was really thinking about it, I'm like, you know what? The way contracts for QBs go up almost every year, and then, you know, like, I think they got some new money coming into the cap next year. His contract is going to be a little bit more reasonable.
It might be reasonable for the Raiders, but if you're looking to trade him, it might be a little steep. That might be a little rich. $34 million for a team to trade. Like, bro, that's, I mean, unless they're all in on DC. But to be honest with
you don't think DC would get a first round pick? I think so.
Yes, I think so. With the quarterback market, what he should go for, yes, is a first. However, it's like when you're taking on a contract like that, $34 million. When you look at all the other ones, like, I don't know how much Matthew Stafford was making. I would imagine it was in the 20s, something around there. But DC is going to be making $35 million a year. I think you definitely could get a first-round draft pick out of DC. Again, though, he's got a no-trade clause. And everything that you just said, just another DJ, is correct. He does historically improve when he's in the system. It's just, for me right now, and I'm a DC guy, for me right now, I just think the organization needs a fresh start. You know, I think Derek Carr needs a fresh start. I think I want to see DC go to an organization that's going to put him in a situation to find success. I want to see DC play meaningful football games. And I just think he's kind of like, he's ran this tire to the rim. You know what I mean? He's exercised every single option with the Raiders, I feel like. He's stuck around. He stayed committed. They've got him the best supporting cast around him that they've ever gotten him. And it's just not quite there. And I don't know that if this might be a Matthew Stafford situation for him. You know what I mean? This might be a situation where the organization didn't compensate your quarterback correctly for years. You know, Matthew Stafford was out there for years. He had Calvin Johnson for that time, but overall, collectively, I just feel like this might be a situation where he could get a fresh start somewhere, and it'd be better for him. And maybe the Raiders get some new juice, you know, at that quarterback position, a young, dynamic offensive playmaker. You
still can keep Carr and still draft the QB.
Yeah, you can. But look, if you keep Carr, you're guaranteeing that he's going to be here for the next 2 years, and you're going to be paying him $35 million. Then it jumps up to like $40-some million. So if you do keep Carr, that dude is locked in for a guaranteed 2 to 3 seasons.
No, but then I believe if they cut him, there's not a lot of dead cap.
No, but they have to cut him 5 days after the Super Bowl. if they want a $5 million dead cap hit, but free up all the cap space. But if they don't do it 5 days after the Super Bowl, his contract is now locked in for the next 2 to 3 years.
Interesting. Dodgers Everything says Mark Davis is trying to get coaches and players to go to his barber, and if that's true, Dodgers Everything, that is pretty sad. That's depressing.
Nobody is going a country mile within the range of that barber. He ain't got a barber. His barber is the scissors in his toothbrush drawer.
Mark Davis got that I'm rich and I don't care haircut. Like he don't care at all. He does things his own way. Oliver Torres says, as a head coach, if I see my defense coordinator can't shut down the opponent, why not let him go? Hey, and I said this in the video the other day. At the end of the day, if McDaniels does stay, even though I want him to get fired because I feel like he's not that guy, in my opinion, and I've watched that video, y'all can see the list of reasons why. But there's going to be a scapegoat, and I think Ray kind of like pointed in the direction of Derek Carr, which is a huge possibility, but also Patrick Graham. You know what I mean? He could easily be the fall guy. Like, oh, okay, it's the defense. Even though it's not fair, to be honest with you, because they don't have the type of talent that the offense has. They don't have the type of investment in the defense that the offense has. You know what I mean? You can make a good case for Patrick Graham to actually get more time. But if Mark Davis chooses McDaniels, then he's going to point to somebody to be like, all right, we need a new guy in here to, for whatever reason. I just think that at the end of the day, like, it's either going to be Carr or Graham.
If you keep him, dude, you've got to invest a ton. But here's the thing. I want everybody to get this. Just because you don't invest a ton of money, just because if I've invested a ton of money into a defense, that doesn't mean that defense is going to be successful. Okay, look at how much money you threw at a guy like Chandler Jones, and it's been bad. Now, if you do that at multiple levels of a defense, say you go pay a safety a ton of money, you go and pay a linebacker a ton of money. You guys, look what we did with LaMarcus Joyner. Look what we did with Corey Littleton. You know what I mean? We threw the bag at those guys, and it doesn't work out. So the answer isn't always just throw money at the defense. Yes, this offseason you have to address the defense, but I would make the argument you want to do majority of it in the draft. You want to get affordable contracts. If you miss, you want to be able to rebound from that and move on from those deals when those players are young and expiring contracts. You don't want to go out here and throw a ton of money at a bunch of free agents, because a lot of the times, you guys, it doesn't work out. I would say, I don't want to put a percentage on it, but in recent history, at least for the Raiders situation, it's not very high. So I think you can make the argument as well that some of more of the bargain bin deals have been bigger hits for the Raiders. Deron Harmon, Rock Ya-Sin, guys like that, the Andrew Billings. Those bargain bin free agents have been more effective for the Raiders. It's just making the right moves for the right scheme fit. So I hear what you're saying. We have to throw a lot of money. We have to throw money in certain positions at the defense, but I think we need to be extremely calculated because we can hurt ourselves really bad.
Facts. D Menace says, for Raiders content, follow Ray. Facts, 100%. And that reminds me, if you haven't liked the video, make sure to like the video so we can keep coming back with good fire content. My guy Ray has a channel as well. We do a weekly show, so you want to make sure you're subscribed to not just my channel, but also to Ray's channel. So if you haven't subscribed to Ray, go over there. I believe this is his link, so make sure to click on the link and subscribe. The road to 2K continues. We're trying to get to that special number. And yeah, man, we appreciate the support. We appreciate everybody coming through. But Oliver Torres again says, why does C. Jones only have 0.5 sacks? That goes to show this defense is trash. Well, this defense is trash, but C. Jones having 0.5 sacks is unacceptable based off the contract that the Raiders gave him. I mean, that was a swing and a miss by Dave Z. It's official. Like, we've seen the contract. We've seen that if the Raiders were to cut him, I believe this offseason, they would still have to pay this. I think they still would have $25 million dead cap, which is crazy. $25 million. So that means he got to stay on the roster after 0.5 sacks. And there's 8 games left, y'all. So hopefully he gets a couple, maybe 2 or 3. If he gets, what would you say? All right, what will make you feel a little bit better? If he gets like 5 more sacks, he gets 5 sacks, he finishes 5 sacks.
He needs to finish with a sack a game for the rest of the year. That's not asking much.
Hey, this is the game against the Broncos. You know what I mean?
Asking for a sack a game, that's not asking much.
But it does look like he lost a step, though. It does look like
100%. Hey, looking back on it, you can make the argument Chandler Jones was a bad contract. You can make an argument that the Hunter Renfrow extension was not a good idea, and Darren Waller's contract was not good either. If we're looking at it strictly based off of production, not value that it can bring to the team in coming years, if all parties can stay healthy. But if you're looking at this season alone, there is not a lot of positives coming from this season. So let me say this. I say all that to say this. It's really easy to point fingers in a ton of directions when your organization isn't winning. You know, head coach, bad contracts, Dave Ziegler, Derek Carr, Chandler Jones. I mean, you can just constantly point. So I don't think that's necessarily the answer either.
Mm-hmm. And all I says here, I really hope Mick Lombardi gets fired. He's a glorified yes man. Yes, he is a glorified yes man. But that being said, that's not his fault. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, like, Josh McDaniels wants to call plays, and he just wants a guy that he trusts to help him get him the film to set up. Like, I think in the offseason, he kind of like helps drawing up plays, but as far as calling plays, it's Josh McDaniels at the end of the day. Like, and it doesn't matter if it's Mick Lombardi, it's going to be another yes man. So
he's probably more of a quarterback coach, kind of like what Greg Olson was for John Gruden.
Basically, exactly. Do you feel like the next coach should, let's say if the Raiders do get rid of Josh McDaniels, you think they should go after a young offensive coach, or would you be open to a defensive coach?
To be honest with you, I want a young.
Last time we had a defensive coach. The last time
I don't want that. I don't want that, because even if you look at the Todd Bowles situation, like, obviously they take a step back. A lot of these defensive-minded guys, they don't have a lot of success. Mm-hmm. I don't know why, but I would go with a young, dynamic offensive coordinator, some guy that has a lot of, maybe a personality to him, a guy who's really creating some dynamic play callings, modern NFL play calling. I think Mike McDaniel's done a remarkable job in Miami. If you can get a young guy, and look, you're not going to hit on all those either. You know what I mean? It really is a roll of the dice. I don't know. So if it was me, though, I would go with a young, dynamic, offensive-minded guy and go out and get you a young quarterback and pair those two together. And maybe if you're going to hit the rebuild button and hit the reset button, hit it this time. You know what I mean? Let's not just keep this guy here. If you're going to blow this thing up and build it in a new direction, like we had to do in 2013 when we drafted Derek Carr and Khalil Mack, then go do it. Go get a first-round draft pick. Maybe you're going to have to get rid of a Waller. Maybe you're going to have to get rid of a Derek Carr and gain some draft capital up into the first or second round. Go do it.
I do. Hey, if this team doesn't finish strong on offense at all, and let's say Waller doesn't come back, or he just plays a game here and there, doesn't really do it, I do see Waller being, even if, you know what, to be honest with you, I could really see, even if Waller comes back and plays well, I could actually see him getting traded too. Like, I really could see that either way. That just helps the Raiders' case in getting what they want in trade value.
And let's be honest, if the Raiders can get a second, now you're sitting at 2 seconds, like 3/3. You can bundle up some draft picks and move back up into the first and you can go get a quarterback, and then you can go get a dynamic interior pass rusher.
You feel like you get more with Renfrow or Waller? Waller. So
Waller's at the top of his class at his position.
Yeah. But you know what's interesting though? Like, obviously Derek Carr hasn't played that well this year. Obviously, Devontae Adams is a guy that he's been putting up numbers. He's shown up. But Renfrow hasn't done nothing this year.
Hey, I would keep an eye on this. I don't know why I just thought about it, but if DC were to get traded to a team or signed somewhere, I would not be surprised if that organization would look to trade for Hunter Renfrow. I could see Derek Carr wanting to get Hunter Renfrow, like a third down weapon, and plug him into an offense that really lets them utilize his skill set, have a lot of freedom.
You're saying if Derek Carr goes to another team, that team...
Okay, hypothetical. Say Derek Carr goes to Indy. I could see Indy also throwing in a draft pick to go and get Hunter Renfrow.
It's possible. It's definitely possible. I can see that happening. I mean, I'm just throwing it out there because Renfrow hasn't looked good at all, to be honest with you.
You're going to have to get out of some of these contracts.
He has not looked good at all. And that goes back to letting the players actually use their creativity. And I believe in this offense, you got to run the routes exactly how it's coached, and they're not allowing any type of creativity. As surprising as much as Gruden actually allowed a little bit of creativity on offense, which is crazy. But
when Josh McDaniels goes and does what he does and go gets Tom Brady, how do you think Tom Brady does with Devontae Adams and Hunter Renfrow and Darren Waller?
You know, I'm not doubting that Tom Brady would have success with the Raiders. I'm just scared of Father Time. How old is Tom Brady? He's like, what, 45, 46 years old in the NFL? I don't
want it at all, but I'm telling you, I have a weird gut feeling that that's something. If Tom Brady does not retire, bro, I have this weird feeling that Tom Brady could be out in Vegas.
All eyes. Were you saying that at the time, though? Are you saying it now? Because he's saying not picking up JJ's fifth-year option was stupid.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie. I was one of those that said, "Hey, I'd rather re-sign Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow, and not pick up the fifth-year option on Josh Jacobs." However, I was saying you could franchise tag Josh Jacobs, and I think if they wanted to do that, they can still go that route.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, but
you could franchise tag him, and I think he's making like $8.5 or $9 million.
You think he's gonna play though on a franchise though? A running back? You think a running back would be playing on a? He could possibly hold out. You know, he's gonna want to get paid. He's gonna want to get his contract. Usually, a franchise tag is used for no negotiation. It's like a negotiation tactic.
And mind you, he is a first-round running back, so he has made some good money.
Mm-hmm.
He says he wants to be a Raider. We'll see.
Listen, Oliver Torres says the only time DC played his ass off was when we drafted Connor Cook.
Or when we went and got Mariota.
Mariota might have helped a little bit too.
Mariota pushed him.
Yeah. So that might be maybe getting a young quarterback.
He started using those legs. He seen Mariota in practice. He's like, oh, yeah, I got to do some of that too.
Got to change it up. Maurice Guilford says, I want a Raider coach that's not going to kill the Raider mystique like McDaniels is doing. Yeah, I just don't look at him. When I look at McDaniels, I just don't look at him as a head coach.
No, I don't see him as a Raider.
He just doesn't have that presence. He's never really had that presence.
This is the NFL leeching onto us, sabotaging our organization. That's what it is. Josh McDaniels is he's an intel. That's what he is. He's a little NFL intel.
D Menace says, hit that like button, nation. Yeah, appreciate that, D Menace. Yeah, make sure to hit that like button because that algorithm is very real. So we want to make sure that we can keep coming back with content. So make sure to like that. Like the video, if you haven't subscribed, make sure to hit the subscribe button as well as go to my guys Raider Ray's channel and hit that subscribe button as well.
Josh McDaniels is in there on the Raiders server getting more emails from Mark Davis. He's their little intel boy.
Hey, would you in fact, Debo says successful NFL defense players are fast, not as technical as our DCs trying to make them. It's similar to Gunther.
Yep. I agree with that 100%, Debo. I do. I'm tired of everybody on our team overthinking. Football, at the end of the day, should be simplified to a point to where you're not thinking and you're playing fast, especially at the highest level.
Gus Bradley simple, though?
No. No.
You know what I mean?
No, but there's a balance. Dude, there's a balance when I say that for sure. Like, not Gus Bradley simple. And, hey, we can make all the jokes we want. Last time I checked, Gus Bradley got a victory over us. Gus Bradley's got a top 2, top 3 pass defense in the National Football League right now.
That is true.
So, I mean, we can make all the jokes we want, but the fact of the matter is those guys are flying around. They know where they're supposed to be, at least. The Raiders don't.
Yeah. And our pass rush, it seemed like it was better last year under Gus Bradley. Took a step backwards.
Look at what they did to the Raiders last week with Yannick Ngakoue and, bro, I think simplifying things make things a lot easier. That's my personal opinion. I think we got too pretty at the coaching position. We got too smart. We got too, and I like numbers, but there's a certain point where you got to kind of throw numbers out of the window and start simplifying things.
Hey, Ray, you probably need to call McDaniels and just let him know, like, what, because he's probably a great interviewer.
I will call McDaniels and tell him I won't take much to be a head coach. I'm not calling any X's and O's. I'm just going to hire a ridiculously good offensive coordinator.
You talking about Davis? You'll call Mark Davis if you had his number?
Yeah. I'm going to tell him his hair looks good, too. I'm not going to be like everybody else.
For real. Show him some love. Oliver Torres says, would it be weird to have Tom Brady, especially? Yeah, that's another reason, too, that he wouldn't come. Unless they upgrade that O-line, Tom Brady's not coming here. He knows what's up. He knows the deal. He knows that his game is predicated on the O-line protecting him. You know what I mean? And that's a lot of quarterbacks.
Yeah, but I bet some players would come here for cheap deals to play with him.
123 Max says, what about primetime? Just seen he went undefeated.
Are you talking about McDaniels?
Are you talking about you talking about primetime? Are you talking about Deion Sanders? I think he's talking about Deion Sanders.
I expected this new regime to help the team improve in situational football. Both sides of the ball struggled on 3rd and 4th down, coaching or execution. Well, when you hear it from the players, it sounds like it's execution. And I think that's been the story of the season this entire year is, when you go back to the first game, DC not simplifying the game, not causing turnovers. Ever since that game, they're number 1 in the league when it comes to protecting the football.
Yeah.
Arizona Cardinals, Hunter Renfrow fumbles the ball twice. You know what I mean? Defense lets up a 20-point lead. You know what I mean? You keep going down the line in these situations. Tennessee didn't convert when the game was on the line. You go down all these football games, KC, receivers run into each other. Devontae Adams not getting his feet in bounds. You could just keep outside of the Saints game. Every single game has been lack of execution.
Yeah, and just another I hear you out, man. I hear exactly what you're saying, but can both be an answer?
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying?
They go hand in hand.
Yeah, like it all connects. My thing is, where does it start? And where it starts is coaching.
When you're a leader of an organization, all fingers should immediately go to you. Then it should go to your captains, Derek Carr, Devontae, Chandler, Max, guys like that. And then so on and so forth. But really, it's got to start at the top.
You said yes, Deion Sanders. What about Deion? You know what? I think I like Deion, but I don't know. Do you see Deion being a head coach in the NFL?
That's kind of interesting,
because I seen him in the locker room.
I think he's doing his thing right now, bro.
You said what?
He's doing his thing right now.
Yeah.
I don't think he's leaving that.
No, I think that if a head coaching opportunity in the NFL opens up and he feels like it's a good situation, Deion Sanders is for sure going to take that. What?
No, I don't know, bro. I don't know.
What? You don't believe that he wouldn't take a head coaching job in the NFL?
The university, what he's got going on down there, like it's unique, and you could tell that he absolutely loves it. I don't know if he could leave those kids. I think he genuinely loves where he's at, and I think he's built something special. And he probably is also at the same time, he's probably like, look, I'm not even ready yet. Make no mistake, this dude's not playing Georgia. He's not playing Alabama. He's not. I don't know too many. I mean, it might happen eventually down the road, but I think
I'm not saying now. But what I'm saying is that, like, if an opportunity presents itself, you don't think that he would even interview?
Dude, it'd have to be the right. I mean, everything would have to line up.
So Mark Davis called Deion Sanders right now.
I think he would laugh.
And he pulled out all the stops.
I think
like private jet, Las Vegas.
I'd be like, you got a really nice jet and you got a really nice facility, but you can't win a football game.
I don't know, man.
I don't want Deion Sanders. There's so many more candidates, bro, that I would pick before Deion.
I think Deion. He's an interesting pick. What, Lincoln Riley? You're thinking of Lincoln Riley? That's probably the guy that comes.
Here's the thing, though. This is what I do like about Deion Sanders. I think he would get a locker room to buy in drastically, much like the Tennessee head coach. I think Deion would captivate a locker room, and if Deion got out of the way and just led the locker room, and did what I believe what you're supposed to do is have a leader of men at the head coach position who can facilitate an organization
Right.
and rely on a good offensive and defensive coordinator. Like nail those hires and let those guys do their job. And that's what I believe is the best success, because you start getting these guys that are head coaches but also involved in play calling, and they've got majority of their work in the offensive side of the football, and other parts of the team are lacking. Like, bro, I'm not a big fan of all that.
Mm-hmm. Marcus Webb says, what are your thoughts on us drafting Will Anderson? High motor like Max. I miss that competitive drive that Max Yannick had rushing QB, but could do without Yannick's run liabilities for sure. I think that was one of a big I guess negative on Yannick's game was the fact that his run support was terrible, and it caused a lot of big runs on defense. So he left his teammates hanging dry. But that being said, I'm all for drafting defense often early. You know what I mean?
Look, okay, let me put it this way. I don't know that I would necessarily go Will Anderson. I would probably go grab Carter out of Georgia as an interior defensive tackle.
I like that.
Very disruptive. The only thing I hesitate with Will Anderson on, a lot of his blitzes are schemed. A lot of it is stunts. You know, he doesn't have a ton of speed. He's actually pretty slow. At the next level specifically, he's going to be a lot slower. I would probably go Carter, defensive tackle out of Georgia. I think he's a dominant player. Will Anderson's a dominant player too. He's going to have a lot of success at the National Football League. I'm just saying where the Raiders are, you have a lot of money allocated in Chandler Jones, and you can't get out of that contract unless you're willing to eat a ton of dead cap money. Going and getting a Will Anderson, you're putting first-round draft pick money on top of a role of Chandler Jones. I just think right now the need is go out there and get you maybe a guy with potential like a Chris Jones. You know, go get Carter in the first round and bolster the interior of this defense. Maybe that helps out a guy like Chandler Jones.
And having a pass rush and D tackle will complement Max Crosby so well.
It would.
You know what I mean? It would help him out a lot, tremendously. And I think it would be an upgrade for this defense because we don't have that. We don't have a pass rush and D tackle at all. So, but we don't have a lot of things on this defense. We don't have a pass rush and D tackle, a coverage linebacker. We might need some safeties. You know what I mean? Like our best safety is Deron Harmon. Morik, hasn't played well in his second year. I'm still not giving up on him. You know what I mean? I'm not saying
I'm not giving up on him either because it's not just him. It's the entire defense as a whole.
Right. Facts.
But he is struggling. Make no mistake about that. Trayvon Merrick is struggling, but the entire defense is struggling.
Mm-hmm. All eyes. So he's speaking to what he said earlier. He says, I just thought it was dumb not picking up the 5th year option. He plays well enough. Now we're going to lose a top 10, 15 running back just because they doubted him. Now he's due 13 to 14 mil if we franchise him.
I don't think it's that high. I'll double check. I mean, you can carry on the chat and you can read it out loud. And I'll still listen, but I'm gonna look up numbers on what Josh Jacobs franchise chat.
All good. All eyes. He said, if we're going to rookie QB in the draft, how could you not buy a year with JJ? Hey, making some points because if we don't bring back Derek Carr, that's gonna lift up a lot of money in that cap room. So we definitely got to look into that. But let's see. I like this. This is the comp right here. Oliver Torres says, "What about Michigan's head coach Jim Harbaugh? That was a head coach. I thought it was a match made in heaven. I thought it was going to happen. I thought it fit what Mark Davis was looking for. That alpha head coach, proven track record. But obviously." Mark Davis wanted to go younger. He wanted to go the Patriot way, and he was sold on it. Obviously.
You're almost getting another Gruden, kinda. But I looked it up, so $9.5 million. I was right. $9.5 million for a franchise tag for Josh Jacobs.
There you go. That's not bad.
$12 million. It's too much money to turn down. He made $12 million his first 4 years with the Raiders, being a first-round draft pick. He made $12 million, and now he has a chance to make $9 million in a single season. I think he takes that.
That's just another GJ. Deion's a good for college kids because his message won't get stale after 3 years.
I'm telling you, bro. I just don't think right now. He's not even close.
But he connects. So you're just saying that he's just more of he's a gimmicky head coach?
I'm not. No, I respect a lot, dude. I really respect a lot of the stuff that he's doing. It's just, bro, he's not there yet. You know what I mean? Like, he is good with what he's doing right now, and I think he should do that for a while because he's doing a lot of really good things. So we'll see.
1, 2, 3 Max, all good, man. You're more than welcome to ask anything you want in the chat. Just make sure it ain't nothing crazy, man. Nothing crazy. Maurice Guilford says, well, is it just me, or do you feel like Josh is killing the Raider mystique? Yeah, I mean, when you don't win games, when the team looks like they're not really playing hard, they don't really care. It's, to me, I think it's really it's telling about Josh McDaniels when players are not getting along with each other. You're the head man. Like, how you put this team together? Like, how is that happening? We never heard that under Gruden. When's the last time we've actually heard that under a coach? That's crazy. And I was
Debo. He said McDaniels is not Gruden, and what we were talking about was Jim Harbaugh. We were saying how Jim Harbaugh he would want a lot of say when it comes to draft picks. It would be him, having a huge hand over the roster and personnel moves. So that's what we were saying.
Yeah, Real Fan Sports. What's good, guys? Hey, appreciate you pulling up, man. If y'all haven't subscribed, man, they're doing some good things on their channel, man. They talk about a lot of different sports on their channel. So you want to make sure you go subscribe to them. They got some good content. I know they do a lot of live streams. They watch a lot of different games, NBA season right now. My Lakers are terrible. Yes. I grew up a Laker fan, and they're pretty bad, so I'm not going to talk too much about them. But just another DJ says, I'm with Ray. D-tackle from Georgia is the best move if available. Okay. Great minds think alike. Curtis Williams, what's the word? Hey, what's good, Curtis? We just talking football, man. We talking with the latest and greatest a lot of the latest with the Raiders. Not the greatest, because obviously we're losing. But we're just talking about what's going on currently with the Raiders, to be honest with you. Is Josh McDaniels the guy? Is he going to be the guy moving forward? And I just feel like he's not that guy. We talked about that a little bit. AJ Simpson, they pulled the rug on us and start tanking. Yeah, man. If you haven't heard too, Colton Miller, there's a report of Colton Miller he's not going to be playing tomorrow. Hopefully he does, but if the report is true, Colton Miller is not going to be starting tomorrow against the Denver Broncos. He's
going to go to IR, bro. He's going to go to IR.
That's crazy. Daniel Kim says, salute Farrell, salute Ray. Getting ready to leave for the holidays, was prepping everything for the fam. Sorry for jumping on. Hey, all good, Daniel Kim. We appreciate the support. You always coming through, showing some love. Man, hey, appreciate you, man.
Daniel Kim says Hooker got hurt tonight. Any news of the extended injury? Ooh, that's big, man.
Ooh, he might drop, right?
He'll drop.
Raider Rooms, salute fam. No Colton tomorrow. I know. That's tough. That's tough for us as fans, but also it's going to be tough for Derek Carr, because now we're going to see Derek Carr is going to have to make something out of nothing back there. There's going to be a lot of quick passes. There's going to be a lot of Josh Jacobs.
Oh, he suffered a significant knee injury.
Wow, for real?
Yeah, that's not good. Hey, his stock's going to fall a little bit, so we'll see, man.
Yeah, I hate injuries, man.
Knee injuries, bro, I stay away. I stay away from that.
That's tough. That's tough. Daniel Kim's lower left leg injury. Okay, lower left leg injury from reports. Yeah, that's tough, man. I'm not a fan of injuries, but they do happen in sports, man. But if that were to happen, that's a guy that obviously, could be available. I mean, look, let's be honest though. Do you feel like he's going to be available?
Second, third.
I
don't think he makes it to the third. Yeah, I don't think he makes it to the third. I could see him going in the second.
Real Fan Sports, much love, guys. We appreciate that. Yeah, Lakers are on a little four. Y'all watching this go. Okay. They're on a four. I hope they go on a 30, 40, 50-0 run, but that's likely not. I don't even think is LeBron hurt? I think LeBron has missed a few games. I don't know, Ray, you probably haven't been paying attention because they suck, but
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a basketball guy.
You're not a basketball guy. Okay. No. I know you're a big UFC guy.
Yeah, I follow fighting a lot.
Yeah, I feel you. But yeah, man, hey, man, like literally, we just wanted to come on here, just talk football, talk the latest about the Raiders. Obviously, we seen that Devontae Adams was questionable heading into this game. Another guy that might be a game time decision. That's gonna be interesting. Imagine this. Imagine Cole Miller. Obviously, they're reporting he's gonna miss the game. Imagine Devontae Adams not being there. I think the middle linebacker. I think Denzel Perriman, he's questionable going into the game. Imagine him missing the game. Man,
I'm trying to see Jared Stidham, boy.
Top.
Put Jared Stidham in the game.
Man, I do not like this. Man, this is terrible, bro.
At this point, you got to start playing Madden with the roster.
Yeah, we need to start playing Madden. We need to get like a live. And I'm not a big video game guy, but if I do play video games, obviously I'm gonna go all the way back to playing Madden. And we might have to have a little live stream.
We should do it. We should do a little live stream tournament.
Hey, and I don't know if y'all can speak to this. The chat, can you play with different teams from different years? I don't know if anybody would know that. I was talking to Ray about this. Can you play on Madden? Can you play? Let's say if I wanted to play with the 2002 Raiders versus, I don't know, the 1976 Raiders.
I don't know if you can. I think you could. We would have to do like this roster, and then you would have to download a roster that was created, and then I think then we could play head to head. I don't know if we could do 19. We might be able to. Maybe if we can find two rosters that were made and then compete with each other. I don't know. Chat, let us know down. Can you take two separate years of Raiders teams and compete on Madden with it? Hey, if you get one, if you can go get a system and get Madden, I think we should do that.
Yeah,
get a little live stream going.
Let us know, man. I got to get a whole game system though. I got to get a whole game system. I haven't played games in a long time. But let's see. Real Fan Sports. Not sure if y'all covered this or not. What do y'all think about the assumption of y'all tanking, and who do you think will get the blame in the offseason? Man, yeah, we did talk about it a little bit. We do definitely. Man, we kind of like we really talked about how like the Raiders are kind of heading that direction of tanking. If all of a sudden players are going on IR, players are not playing. A guy like Cole Miller has played what? How many games has Cole Miller played in a row? Like I know he missed one game last year. I think he missed like one game last year, but he's usually on the field. And I bet you if the Raiders were competitive, we wouldn't be hearing these reports. That being said, there's going to be definitely a scapegoat. We talked about Derek Carr. We talked about Patrick Graham. Mark Davis has come out multiple times in support of McDaniels. So we got to assume that McDaniels is coming back, even if they lose the rest of the games. Because the way he's talking about McDaniels, he literally came out with a statement saying that he's doing a fantastic job. Fantastic job. And he's 2-7. It is what it is. Mark's Reyes, Ryan Sakamoto is saying it looks like a torn ACL. Whoo, that's tough.
That's tough, bro. Especially the time of year it is.
That's tough.
He might not be ready for training camp.
Okay, Lateef Cook says they have to be a Super Bowl team if it's Madden. Damn. Well, the 02 Raiders did play. They got demolished.
We can just do Raiders versus Raiders. Current roster.
No, I'm not going to do that.
We can see who the better play caller is.
That's going to be ugly. I'm going to let you play with the Raiders, and I'm just going to pick some other team.
Nobody in the AFC West, because that's ugly too.
Yeah, I'm not going to do AFC West. I'm probably going to pick like an NFC team, random team, because I hate the Broncos, I hate the Chargers, I hate, everybody else in the AFC, So I'll go NFC. But we'll figure that out, man. But yeah, man, any last thoughts, man? How do you feel going? I mean, I know you're kind of disgusted right now after hearing Cole Miller.
Yeah,
it's not going to play tomorrow. It's
not going to surprise me if he goes to the IR, bro. If it's an injury that the Colton Miller, you kind of just alluded to it. If Colton Miller misses games, it's because he's really hurt. Not saying he has a torn, nothing like that. But I'm saying like it's probably a lingering injury that's been giving him issues. And honestly, if you're in this situation, they might shut him down, bro. They might shut him down for a few games.
So, do you see that? Can you see the Raiders winning tomorrow? against a team that averaged 14 points a game. The Broncos average 14 points a game, y'all.
Yeah, but dude, this defense is not playing. They're going to score more than 14 points. They will against the Raiders
at home.
They will score more than 14 points on us for sure.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I've said it the last few weeks, like, hey, if the Raiders go out here and lose this game, you finally see what they're doing. They're tanking. I don't think the narrative changes. I think we could go out here and see the Raiders lose this game. And if the Raiders, I'll say it again, even though I hate sounding like a broken record, if the Raiders go out here and lose this game, you know what they're doing. Like,
hey man, and I'm thinking about it right now. I do not want to see a season where we're tanking. I don't believe. I've heard a lot of people talk about the Raiders need a tank. They're not going to make the playoffs, but I don't believe in that, man. Like, I want to have some type of progression. I want to see a team that gets better. I feel like that's that's how you build a winning culture. And I'm not a big believer in tanking. I understand, like, hey, the chances of us going to the playoffs are not high. So then you might as well lose your game so you can get a high draft pick. But man, like, for me, at least, like, I want to see at least a mini winning streak. I want to see the offense play better. I want to see Derek Carr get this offense going in the right direction. I want to see Darren Waller come back. I want to see Renfro come back and actually play well. But the chances that are happening are really slim when you see guys like Cole Miller just all of a sudden not play tomorrow. And then, obviously Waller and Renfro are still on IR.
I agree with what you're saying, but here's the aspect that I see it from. I don't like to tank, and I don't believe in tanking at all. What I would be more comfortable with is if you're actually a team that can't figure out ways to win and you're actually losing games competing to win. Does that make sense? Like, the initial mindset isn't to tank. It's, hey, we're losing football games because we're not executing properly. That aspect I can live with, not the tanking aspect. However, if you go on a run and say you win 3 of your last 4 games and move outside of that top 5 draft pick selection, I'm just saying, with McDaniels coming back, dude, you're gambling a lot with the future. And if you don't get that stuff right, it can really set our organization back. So if we're going to lose and we're going to kind of cash in on a season, this would be the time to do it. And you got to make sure you nail that top pick.
Real Fan Sports says, I totally agree. Tanking is bad for every team, organization, and the fan base, man. I'm not a big believer in it. I get it. But, it is what it is, man. Hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully they can get some type of rhythm. At least, I know the chances are slim for us to make the playoffs, but what I'm saying is that we got to get some type of – we got to go into next season being excited for something. Like, come on. Like, you can't lose all your games.
Quarterback in the top 2 picks. What other excitement are you going to get? You already had an offseason with Devontae Adams being signed as a Raider, Chandler Jones – you had the big offseason, the big splashiness. We just came off of an offseason where we were extremely excited. And look at how it played out for us. I would rather do this the right way. Like, go get you a guy that has the potential to have a very, very high ceiling. Like I said, I'm not in for tanking. But if you're going to lose these games competing, I can live with that.
Right. And Debo says, I'm embarrassed. This head coach is incompetent, and that's going to be the chat of the night right there, right? I'm embarrassed. The head coach, yeah, for real. Like, I just don't see it with McDaniels, but we'll see. There's 8 games left. There's a chance for some type of improvement, but obviously with Cole Miller going down tomorrow in Denver against the number 1 defense in the NFL statistically. That's not going to be, and we all know how Derek Carr and any quarterback under pressure, it's going to be tough for him tomorrow. But we'll see, man. Hopefully, Josh Jacobs has a big game, because he did have a big game last time they played. He had 140 plus yards at the time. That was his career high. You know what I mean? He ended up breaking that the week later. I think he broke the week later. I think he broke his all-time rushing record for a game, at least. I think so. I don't know if anybody could let me know if that's right or not. But that being said, man, any last thoughts, man? Anything you want to tell the Raider Nation, man, before we call this a night, man? I appreciate everybody pulling up, by the way. But any last thoughts?
No, man, just head over to Raider Ray, hit the subscribe button, check out some content. Me and Pharaoh do live shows every Tuesday and Saturday evening. So you guys want to stay up to date with all of that stuff. Make sure you hit the bell notification icon. As for tomorrow, man, just sit back and enjoy. We don't get a ton of regular season games as football fans. So regardless of where the Raiders are at, keep your emotions in check, but try to just enjoy watching your team be able to play football, because the season comes and goes so quickly. Over here, you're always going to get a casual response, and we're going to look at things realistically. So win, lose, or draw, you know that every Tuesday and Saturday you can come over here and kind of keep your emotions a little bit even keeled. Vent when you have to vent, but have a realistic approach on this roster moving forward. So you guys have fun watching the football game tomorrow. Hopefully the Raiders find a way to win. If not, we'll be here to talk about it.
Facts, man. Until next time, man, I appreciate everybody pulling up, man. And we just wanted to talk some football before the game tomorrow, man. Sadly, obviously, we found out that Cole Miller's not going to possibly play tomorrow, but there's still a game to be played. There's still a chance for us to win. Hopefully we do win. But until next time, Raider Nation, peace.
Great Pharaoh, the gift of Troy is a fabulous fabric from the land of the 5 rivers.
Just win, baby. Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to